What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the after credit scene and our new forecast for episode 2 of Moon Knight. The first one dropped last week, was excellent. If you haven't check out our review for episode 1 up here. There's a link to it in the comments as well. Let's get right to it. 50% chance here that we're going to get a storytelling POV swap. What I mean by that is I think we might get to see everything that happened when Stephen blacks out. What I don't think is going to happen is that we get a different episode from every character's perspective. I think if we start doing that, everything slows down pretty quick and you can't tell as long of a story. Maybe we get some flashbacks. Maybe we get Stephen seeing things from different perspectives. We'll talk about that over here in a second. But what I don't think is going to happen is that every single episode is a different personality, because there's a lot of ground to cover. And I think it makes for a better story if there's some mystery in the form of the blackouts and what did happen and what didn't happen. They can also use Stephen as a storytelling device because he can connect to the viewers in a way that the other characters, an international spy or an Egyptian god may not resonate with us. But if we, just like Stephen, are trying to figure out what's going on, we're losing chunks of time, we're not aware that Egyptian gods are real and all these different things are going on, and we're finding out that there's this double life going on and there's this bigger story, we can kind of be introduced to this world at the same time as Stephen is. So in that regard, I think we're going to get some POV swaps, but maybe not in the way that some of these theories have been talking about. Other than that, I think it's more likely, 80% chance here, that we get backstory that gets us and Stephen caught up with what's going on. In particular, who is Mark Spector? What's he been doing? Who are these other characters in his life? There are definitely other personalities rattling around inside Stephen's head, and that includes a guy that's a cab driver. Although I think if you paid attention to when Stephen becomes aware, he finds the phone in the wall in his house. He also finds a key. I don't think that belongs to Mark. I think that belongs to the other personality who in the comics is a cab driver. I think they're going to make him an Uber driver. I think that key is going to be some kind of clue to that character. What that also means, though, is that the other characters are aware that they are living inside of someone else's body, particularly Mark, because he goes to great lengths to hide his personality from Stephen in the form of the holes in the wall and all these different cloak and dagger things. And we're going to get to another one over here in a second that maybe some of you guys didn't quite think all the way through. But I think there's a higher percentage of a chance here that we get some backstory in that form, kind of find out what happens, get some flashbacks, more so than just a total POV switch. I think we need to get some Moon Knight fight scenes, and I think those things are going to happen. But both of these things here, I think they're happening because Stephen is going to be our connection to these other personalities. And in that regard, I think there's a 90% chance that all these other personalities become allies for Stephen, similar to the way that Mark did at the end of episode 1. And he looks at Stephen and he says, I can get us out of this. You're not going to die. Of course, Khonshu has a different relationship with him, and several times Stephen can hear him calling Khonshu calling him the idiot, and that he's useless, basically, as far as Khonshu's concerned. But for Mark knows that Stephen is the dominant personality as far as that's concerned. To use a line from the movie Split, he's in control. He's taken the light. And so Stephen's the one that's the gatekeeper that allows the different personalities to come forward. And so you're going to get a lot more of that conversation, and how they play that's going to be interesting. But I think guys like Mark, these other personalities, particularly the different personalities in Moon Knight that come out, are going to be played off in a way that helps Stephen understand the world that he's in, and they give us some dialogue to help us understand the world that we're in. In that regard, if that's what's happening here, every clue matters, right down to the things that Stephen finds out. His fish used to have one fin, now it has 2 fins. Something's different, something's wrong, and he's starting to figure it out. The goldfish thing is just the tip of the iceberg. For us as viewers, every little thing in this show can be used to be something, a different layer that rattles around in our brains that informs us as to what's going on in the show. The way that the music is played, the things that the music does. At the beginning of this first episode, when Arthur is breaking the glass, when he flips the glass over and puts it down on the table, it's almost as though the music gets muffled, as though we're watching it and then we become muffled, almost as though a different personality is taking over or the walls are closing in. It was a really interesting choice, but it can mean a few different things. It can also kind of play with your head a little bit, which might be what they're going for. Some of the songs, when Steven wakes up, the music that's played at the beginning of the Marvel logo that transitions into Steven waking up in his apartment, actually has the line in it, "Every time I wake up," and that's exactly when Steven wakes up. And so a lot of these things are right on the nose, but I think they're done to let the viewer know that the music is informing what's going on, and you need to pay attention to that as well. So there's a lot of different aspects of things that are going on in the show, right down to the Easter eggs. I think the Easter eggs are being used to pull you deeper into the show rather than just, here's a fun nod. It's something that you can actually learn from. So pay attention to those things. In that regard, I think next episode, in addition to all these other things that we're getting over here, there are heavy storms incoming. I think the next episode starts off right where the last one ended. We get some fights with Moon Knight where he is going back out. There are still people in the museum. Moon Knight is going to go back out there and eliminate the threat. He's going to chase Arthur and his goons out of the museum, out of London perhaps. And I think a lot of the scenes that you saw from the teaser trailers after this episode are going to be things that happen in episode 2. Particularly things that are probably backstory elements, flashbacks that we think might be for episode 4, 5, 6. Scenes that look like they were filmed in Egypt or look like Steven is in Egypt. I think those are more likely backstory and flashback elements where Steven is getting the chance to relive things in Mark's body. So Mark was in Egypt. Khonshu was in Egypt. But Steven, getting flashbacks and being reminded of what's happening, gets to see that from his perspective. So he's looking around and seeing what's going on, but maybe it's being narrated by Mark or somebody else and saying, hey, here's what happened in that flashback. Things that you don't remember. Let's help you become aware of our memories. I'm curious as to how Khonshu fits into that. I'm curious as to when Khonshu became a part of Mark's and Steven's personality, because up until this point, Steven is functioning as though he's just a lucid sleepwalker and not necessarily someone that has multiple personalities that lead separate lives. And when he starts finding out, when he finds the things in the wall and he realizes that his goldfish has died and been replaced, he starts realizing that this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's not just that he went walking around, but that other things have been going on, major things. And he starts hearing the voices and seeing different people. I think that is an aspect of Khonshu being able to connect all these different personalities and kind of give them an opportunity to talk at a round table, so to speak. As far as that's concerned, I think you need to watch for very specific details that are going to give you some sense as to Mark's inner workings. The way he talks to his mother on the phone is very telling. Doesn't really sound like he's talking to a voicemail. I think there's something else going on there because it doesn't sound like he's talking to a person either. There's not enough pauses to let somebody respond. So I think there's something going on there as well. The goldfish problem, as the first episode is titled, is not only that a goldfish has a 6-second memory, and so it kind of a play on Steven's blackouts and things like that, but there's a blackout in this episode from Thursday to Sunday. Mark is going off to steal this scarab. Steven wakes up in this town after Mark has jumped out of a window and presumably hit his head. That's when Steven comes to. Mark's no longer in control of the body, and Steven suddenly has to figure out what's going on. When Steven arrives back home, he doesn't realize that many days have gone by. He doesn't realize that Mark has gone and replaced his goldfish. The reason Mark replaces his goldfish, walk it back. The goldfish died. Why the goldfish died? Because they were gone for 3.5 days. And Mark gets back, and as he's trying to cover his tracks, he's hiding the phone. He's doing all these different things. He realizes the goldfish has died. He rushes out, he gets another goldfish because he doesn't want Steven to find out that he's been up and about and doing all these different things. He has to keep that life secret. And what better way for a double agent to stay hidden than to have a personality trait or an ability, a disability, however you want to call it, that completely wipes him so that the person that he's hiding inside of is actually telling the truth when he says, I don't know what you're talking about. It's really, really, a really, really interesting way to do that. and a really almost empowering way to use something that most people would see as a disability. So I think that's really cool. And with all of these things here, pay attention. We're doing a lot of world building. 100% chance here that we're getting a flash flooding of world building. The Easter eggs, the music, the different personalities, the way that Stephen is finding things out, the voices in his head, all the different layers of this are coming together to help you understand, what are these Egyptian gods? Are they even gods? How do they fit into the MCU? Who is Moon Knight? Who is Stephen Grant? How does he function? Are they going to try to work together, or is it something that's just constantly at odds and he's a real wild card, almost in a Hulk capacity? You never know when the Hulk's going to pop out. You never know when Moon Knight's going to pop out. How is that going to work? So a lot of interesting things going on here. Tell us what you guys thought. Check out our Easter egg videos. Check out our episode 1 reviews. Both of those links are in the comments here. If you saw something we didn't or think something else might happen, have a different theory, let us know. Check out some of our other videos over here. We got plenty of things on the channel for you to check out. Lots of Marvel content for you to dig into. And as always, guys, when the next one drops, we'll see you right back here. Later.